This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod, the show for the week of October 6, 2025. And normally I say this is what's going on in our Disney World, but nothing's going on in our Disney World. It's a very slow news week, Phil. Not much to talk about this week other than some like random fun games that we have.
Clearly, we need to get starting planning more trips and stuff like that.
Yes.
We need to talk about that.
We've been having trip reports since like, what did we go? Like April this year, May this year, whatever that was.
That have subsidized the news content.
Yes, exactly. Well, the reason why there's slow news, I think, Phil, is because the end of the year is coming. October 1st is just happened, so it's a new fiscal year for Disney. They're having their State of the Year thing. I think it's next. Is it this week or is it next week? I can't remember.
Well, I know the quarterly earnings aren't until like the first week in November or something like that. I don't know if they're having something else this week though.
I could have sworn I saw something that we're going to, and maybe it is November. Maybe it was the announcement of that November date. Cause I thought I saw Scott Gustin say. Anyway, typically news isn't broken at the beginning or the end of the fiscal year because Disney's prepping all the financial stuff. So they're not like really announcing anything. So that's why I think a lot of things are quiet. However, there's a lot of things going on, but it's like small little minor updates that only us park nerds really enjoy, but doesn't make good podcasting content.
Right.
Like one of the construction updates, spoilers, I guess, for our own show, is like now all the walls are up in Rivers of America. Not that that's like, we talked about the scaffolding last time. Now there's pictures. Now there's more steel up at the Lakeshore Lodge. I mean, like, I guess we're talking about it now. It's content, but it's not. I don't put that in the construction updates. Yeah. New members, we want to welcome Lily Kane from YouTube. Thanks for subscribing. Everybody out there, subscribe. Get your name mentioned at the beginning of the show. The one thing that's going to be interesting conversation, I saw this on Discord pop up. On this, we're going to talk about should Disney eliminate tipping, and I avoid all tipping conversations online because I am very much pro tipping. I was a waiter and a bartender for many, many years, put me through college. So that should be an interesting discussion between the two of us down there. But there is some news. The second part that you listed here is pretty funny, so I'm going to let you kind of go through it, Phil. What do we got this week?
So the first thing I did want to acknowledge, and Disney did, there were a lot of posts about it from Bob Iger and the company as a whole and stuff, but Dr. Jane Goodall passed away this past week at 91. I think everyone knows who she is and all the work she's done with conservation and the work with the chimpanzees and stuff like that. But I thought we'd mention it because she had a huge impact on the development and kind of running of Animal Kingdom. She was served as what they call a trusted advisor and consultant during its development in the 90s. And one thing I didn't actually even realize is that in recognition of her contributions, she was honored with, instead of like a window on Main Street, she was honored with a plaque on the Tree of Life in really Animal Kingdom. And it's right next to the carving of David Greybeard, who is the chimpanzee who first approached her in the Gombe National Park. So there's like a carving of the chimpanzee that, she was most known for, that first approached her. And then there's a plaque honoring her in on the Tree of Life. So I didn't realize that. I think if I can, I'm going to do some research to find out like if you can walk past it and stuff like that. Cause our next trip down, I want to see about going to see it and stuff like that. So
I never heard that before. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And this was the news item Jason was referring to, which indicates what kind of week it is. But I thought I wanted to get Jason's thoughts on a few things related to this. It's just that Disney did announce that there are 13 new sauce chicken strips coming to Walt Disney World. I don't know if we want to list all of them or anything like that, but I just thought it was interesting. I didn't know if you looked through the list, if there was one that caught your eye or anything, but I thought it was an interesting thing that Disney's not just like, here's like this new food item or this news. It's like, we're going to do chicken strips in 13 different styles. I'm sure there'll be some vlogger out there that goes and gets all 13 styles and rates and reviews them and stuff like that.
Why not?
But they're going to be scattered around the parks and at the resorts and stuff like that. I just thought it was kind of an interesting idea of doing like a whole bunch of versions of the same thing to kind of get interest up around that and let people try them, figure out what their favorites is and stuff like that. And I didn't know what your thoughts were on that. Is that something Disney should do more of, like maybe do different burgers around or different tacos or something like that, but rather than just like random food items or a theme or something, pick a type of food, but then have a whole bunch of different versions around.
For me personally, as like a guest, like I don't care about any of this. Like this would impact my vacation planning whatsoever. However, for somebody who consumes Disney content like on YouTube, I think this is fantastic because it's something different to watch, right?
Right.
Like how many like food and wine festival like food reviews can you watch? Like, right down Main Street or Mammoth Club, or, pick your favorite, right? They all go to the booth. They all sit on a trash can. They all eat it. They all have like, they're not professional food critics. So they all have their own, like, this is what I think of good food review is going to be. Oh, it's very tasty. The sauce is very peppery. All this, blah, blah, blah. Like they all sound the same. Like it doesn't tell. I just want to see pictures. Like, I don't care about your opinion. I just want to see the pictures of the food. Right. But if they're like scattered throughout the property, then you see them, hopping from resort to resort. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that type of content because it's different. It's just not like the same old type of thing. So I like the idea, and I think it's mostly for those bloggers to kind of force them to go to, like, I don't know, did they list where these were going to be? Yes, they did. So like Backlot Express, or at the Restaurant Saurus, or Cosmic Rays, or the All American Cafe, or the Contemporary, or wherever they might be. They're going to different places, and it forces content to be made at multiple places around property. So you can see people go different places. And I think all Disney vloggers are, starving for different types of content. So I think it's kind of clever to do it that way.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it's kind of neat, like you said, for, I don't know, people going down might just pick the one that jumps out at them or something like that, or if it happens to be one they're interested in staying at their resort or something. But yeah, for content provider, I think it's kind of cool. Or just locals around there. Like,
sure,
we don't know how long this is going to be going around, but somebody's like, hey, every week I'll try a different one or something like that. I did want to say two that jumped out at me, though. One is a waffle cone one that they're going to have, I think, at Beaches and Cream and also at Restaurantosaurus. It's interesting they're adding something new at Restaurantosaurus when it's going away in a couple months.
It's chicken fingers. They can import sauce, right? Like, are these supposed to be sitting around for a while? Or is this like a 2-month thing?
It didn't say how long they're going to be around for. I'm assuming it's just a few months, maybe through the end of the year or something, or until the holiday stuff comes out.
Right.
But I also thought that was something that, hey, I could say goodbye to Restaurantosaurus on my next trip before it goes away and try something new at it. And then the other one that jumped out at me, just because it was listed as the name as Seaside, I was like, what the heck is Seaside? It's at Columbia House Harbor. I thought it was going to be like Old Bay seasoned or something like that, but no, it says it's got a tasty seasoned aioli, crushed pretzels, and crispy garlic. Which I don't know why that's Seaside, but okay, like that's what it's called. So I don't know. There's some different ones here.
The pictures they look like good chicken fingers, not like your normal like kitty
they're not kitty nuggets. They're like real chicken. I mean, they're probably frozen and stuff like that, but they're real like chicken strips,
chunks of chicken.
Like yeah.
So I mean, all the flavors look tasty. I mean, like they're all the ones that you would normally find at like anywhere that serves like a couple different versions of chicken fingers.
Sure.
So none of them like stand out to me, but they all look tasty. Like, the waffle cone, that looks different, but I mean, nothing else is like I need to go see it. But like if I saw this, I'd be like, maybe I'll try it when I'm there. But I don't know. None of this is jumping out at me like I'm going to make sure I go to this place to get it. But if I happen to be there, maybe I'll get one to try. I mean, God knows we need more options at Magic Kingdom for different types of food. So this is
and a few of them are at Magic Kingdom, so it's something new to try and that sort of thing. So and so I thought that was interesting. And then the last news item, which is more of a rumor. Actually, I shouldn't say more of a rumor. It's definitely a rumor. But it was reported on the Disney Dish episode that came out today on the day we're recording, which is Monday the 6th. Somebody reported that the permanent stations for the lines, like kind of the queues at the TTC for buying tickets, were being removed. So there's a lot of like, well, why is it being removed? What is this? Now, it could just be that nobody really buys day tickets at the TTC anymore, so they don't need to make. I've only
seen like 5 people in line here before because they didn't know where to go to get like their magic bands or something else like that. I've had to go to the TTC for tickets because we had digital tickets and I wanted to get cards, and I went there to get cards. And there's like one person working in like 50 booths.
Right. So it might just be that they don't need those lines, and this way it'll just make it easier for people to walk by and stuff like that. But they also talked about, and it, we're always fascinated about all the changes coming to Magic Kingdom and what this is going to be with more people at the park and how are they going to manage crowd flow and stuff like that. That Jim was indicating that they've talked about in the past, adjusting the monorail and the TTC and stuff like that. And could this be related to that? Could this be the first sign of doing something there that could tie into 2030 when they said their estimate is 7,500 more people a day will be attending the Magic Kingdom, and then will be coming and going in the morning and the evening. And could this be leading to more infrastructure changes related to getting people in and out of the Magic Kingdom? So I have no idea, but I thought, this is one of our favorite, or at least one of my favorite topics to talk about, because I'm worried about people crushing the hub for fireworks and stuff like that. But just like the side effect of like, yeah, it's easy to say, let's expand the Magic Kingdom so we can have more people there. But there's all these kind of side effects of that. And how we handle that.
Let's talk about it, right? So if you go on Blog Mickey, there's some pictures of where the railings are down. Now they're just like temporary stanchions with like the cloth ropes, kind of whatever. From an operational point of view, I think this is better for them because it's easier to clean. Right at the end of the day, you just pick them all up and then you can get the scrubber or the sweeper or whatever they do up there and just clean the whole area, right? Or if you're doing power washing once a month, every 3 months, whatever they do over there to clean up the sidewalks, it's much easier to clean around those type of things. And it's less things for them to paint that it's going to be wear and tear in the Florida weather. As far as like adjusting the monorail, what do you think that could look like? Is it like, I don't even know. It's like in creating a bigger platform because you don't need one, right? It's designed for the maximum throughput of,
Yeah, I don't know if they
rails.
can have more trains going around or have different trains developed. There's always been talks for the past number of years about having new monorails and stuff like that. I don't know if they'd have another monorail station that goes to the back of the park or something like that. Like we've talked about a back entrance.
There's no way because they'd have to turn that thing around. You can't just turn a monorail around and on a dime, right? I mean, I think these rails have nothing to do with infrastructure changes. I think it's just, hey, we don't have a lot of people here. Let's make it easier to clean and let's make it look cleaner.
Yeah.
Because they took some pictures of the old ones. They're kind of ugly looking, right? They've been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I think it just makes it look cleaner and easier. I would love to see infrastructure changes at the Magic Kingdom. But what do we remember? What was the daily, like, I'm trying to think, from the peak in 2019 till the last time we had numbers, which was 2023, because we haven't gotten last year's numbers yet, right? There was a 9 million person difference estimated at Magic Kingdom. So let's do some quick math. 9 million divided by 365. That's 25,000 people difference per day if you evenly split them out across.
Right.
Even if we get, what did they say, 7,500
They
more
were
people?
estimating 7,500 more people, yeah.
That is a third of what we saw in 2019.
It's not as much as they handled at the max. Yeah.
So assuming they were happy with the infrastructure in place in 2019, like they were able to get people in and out of the park properly, I don't think there's any changes coming because that wouldn't make sense to me. You want to add another boat, you want to expand the docks, the harbor, that's relatively easy to do compared to modifying the monorail system.
Yeah.
I think this is purely cosmetic and just kind of changing things around like a lot of parks do. Like they change how things look and whatever.
Yeah, it might just be that. I mean, maybe they could take down some of those booths if they don't need them just to make it like more room for people to line up and stuff in the morning and things like that. Like kind of just adjust the flow of people a bit. But
I don't even think that many people are lining up to go to these places, to be honest with you. Like I don't, I mean, granted, I don't go to the TTC a lot because I'm always on property. I'm getting a bus there. But the times I've gone there, whether it's morning, noon, or night, it's never been like packed full of people. But locals could probably tell us better if it's busy in certain places because, again, I don't see it very often. I know. I think it's like speculation. I think some couple of different rumors are kind of being smashed together.
100%. I think that's it. Well, we heard this. They were thinking about this, and they're like, of course, they're going to analyze it and say, should something be done or how do we manage it? But I can't imagine the cost benefit of what it would take to like make it meaningful impact to make it worthwhile.
I mean, the only thing I would imagine modifying the monorail would come when we have. I love reading Tommy Hawkins stuff. We were talking about his Substack post last week, where everybody's assuming that they're going to add a hotel somewhere between Grand Floridian and Magic Kingdom, right? Like whether it's attached to the park or like in between, but not exactly touching. the park, whatever it might be. I could see modifications of the monorail there for another monorail station. And if that's the case, they're going to need more throughput because now you're stopping the train or the monorail for X amount of minutes to load and unload at that point. And so your throughput from that whole system decreases because you have more stops. I don't see them changing the track at all. But again, I don't think that might be something that there might be rumors about, like adding another station. So therefore other things might happen. I don't know. I think insert Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where it's like the guy with the string all over the place going crazy.
Yeah, I think so. Or as my last bullet was, who are we kidding? They'll probably just create some more room and put in a themed lounge and charge $100 to watch the fireworks from there or something.
That's not a bad idea. You open up the roof and like it's kind of like a speakeasy, right? You have to go through the ticket booth and you walk up and it's like, you're serving drinks up top. That's honestly not a bad idea. That'd be kind of funny. But that'd be more for locals than people like stopping and having a drink there. I would imagine like that. Phil, you want to do construction updates real quick before we move on?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we mentioned at the top of the show, the Piston Peaks fully blocked off. All those scaffolding that we talked about last week. I had to look back and see if we had actually fully blocked off yet, and we did it in the notes, but I thought we talked about it somewhere.
They had put up some more, and somebody mentioned it, but it's definitely more like official. Like there's I don't know, almost looks like the burlap on them or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like you cannot see through now. And our friend of the podcast, Drew, the Disney dude, had a really great video that came out today, and his understanding, he thinks this is a signal combined with the start of the new fiscal year, is that he thinks by the end of this month there'll be like major demo going on the island and stuff like that. So this is kind of the first sign of that.
I mean, I suspect, going on a tangent here, that they're going to want, when they start doing demo work there, they want to get it started quickly and over with as fast as possible, right? It's one thing to have like one crane putting in new tracks for Big Thunder. It's another thing for having like bulldozers and the sensitivity of this. So like they want the least amount of exposure to vloggers, like watching, they're demoing my favorite island in the world and all this other type of stuff. So, people making social media accounts based off of, Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yeah, kind of rip the Band-Aid a bit.
Yeah, let's just get it all done and just make it an empty pit for a while. So that's one of the updates. We mentioned the TTC. That was on Blog Mickey this week. Another interesting one that I think I'm very curious about why they're doing this is in the Discovery River Amphitheater in Animal Kingdom, they installed umbrellas around like the stands. Now I didn't check this. Maybe I should have, because I only saw like close up pictures. Is it all the way around?
I'm not sure.
Just certain sections.
It looked like, I don't know. I've only seen the same blog from Blog Wiki as well, and there's not a ton of pictures, so I don't know.
I'm looking around. It looks like
it says it's from the Dino
back half.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the second section back of like.
Why are they doing this, Phil? That's my question. We're having some internet issues right now. I'm sorry about that. But why are they doing this? Like, why now?
I don't know. I know like people will like just chill out in those seats and stuff like that. It's like an area to relax, but I don't know. Maybe they know like with Dinoland fully closing and stuff like that, they're going to have some additional entertainment in the park. Maybe bring back the flotillas or something like that. Nothing like, I'm not expecting any major show or anything like that, but maybe if they just think this is another area to kind of have some light entertainment for people to spend some time and something for them to do, since there is obviously, it's been talked about enough that there's like, it's not going to be a complete park for quite some time. So they need to kind of add some additional things to it. That's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, if you look at it, I mean, they're pretty. It's not like somebody just put like some umbrellas in like a bucket of sand to keep them down there. Like they're drilled through the
they drilled holes into the seats. Yeah, for sure.
So it's a permanent installation, right? There's quote unquote infrastructure involved in putting this into place, right? So like they can't just like wheel them away one day and it's like they were never there. Like these are going to be there for a while. So I like this. I like more shade. Shade's always good. Imagineers always forget that Florida is sunny sometimes when providing shade. So I've sat on these plenty of times as relaxing or what, taking a break while my wife does single rider with the kids for Expedition Everest, and I'm just kind of hanging out here. So I like this. However, I do like the speculation that they're going to be doing something on here. Hopefully it's not kite tails. Maybe it is kite tails, and that's why they're all in the back, because they don't want anybody sitting in the front and getting dive bombed by like kites falling from the sky. I don't know.
There you go.
Would you like to see kind of a midday show here at Animal Kingdom? What let me ask you this. Obviously, yes, we want more entertainment. That was a dumb question for me to ask. What form would you like to see it take?
I don't know. It would be interesting because, like, obviously colors and stuff don't work if you do fountains. And I mean, you could just do some like floats coming around with different entertainments. You could do the bands and stuff like the steel drum bands on floats and going by or something like that. I don't know. I remember when they had Rivers of Light and they used to have the shamans out on the boats and stuff. It was interesting to see them doing their dances and percussion and stuff like that. Like, I don't think it would take a lot, but you could do something, have it every, couple hours or something like that. Somebody coming by. I don't know.
Could we get like, would it be, I mean, we would have heard rumors of this before, but like, do you think we can get like a midday parade at Animal Kingdom, but it's all like a flotilla?
That'd be kind of neat too. Something like that. Like, yeah, they had the flotillas obviously after COVID and stuff like that. And yeah, have them parade through and have a soundtrack and stuff like that. That would be kind of neat.
But they were always one off, right? Like it was like one flotilla or two playing like Christmas music and stuff like that. But like, could they do something where it goes like around Discovery Island and, there's 6 flotillas, right? And just kind of going through. I think that would be really neat because you'd be able to see that from all over the park, but to only truly see it would be at that amphitheater. And yeah, that's one way to entertain people. I think we have to keep an eye on that. I think that might actually be something that they might be doing. I mean, we're speculating all of this based off some umbrellas being put up in the benches, but it's fun to speculate. I think that's something to keep. But an eye out
it's fun to speculate, but at the same time, that does seem to be their recent reaction to, at least in the short term, to knowing they're like kind of light on new additions or even taking things down, is to respond with entertainment, and this is a way they could add entertainment into that park. So I think it's a reasonable speculation.
Yeah. I mean, as an aside, because they're realizing that they need entertainment with the whole changeover in leadership and stuff like that, there was a recent Jeff Vall, president of Disney World, had like was it Variety that he had an interview with?
I think so, yeah.
And basically he said some just like normal corporate speak, like, we're doing a lot of changes. We understand that we're taking people's favorites. Everything is somebody's favorite, and we appreciate that, but we're looking to use unused spaces and build new exciting things. He's like promoting a lot of the investment in the parks, right? It was very milquetoast, bland, typical corporate speak stuff. But everybody was running away with like, oh, he's terrible. He's destroying everything. Like there's this whole whatever type of thing. Do you see current leadership at Disney World or with Josh D'Amaro, which is also more rumors about him being the favorite to become the next CEO and all this other stuff? Do you see a change in how Disney World, you think, over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years is going to be better? Like, will that rival some of our more fonder memories of like the better Disney World of the past, do you think? Are you seeing more and more prompts for this, I guess, I don't know, lack of a better term?
I mean, I think they are. Obviously, there's a whole lot of construction going on, and I think they're going to want to have a big like launch of the new things coming and stuff like that. Now, the big thing, like you said, he said these are underutilized areas, and obviously there's a lot of people like that wasn't underutilized. That was something I loved and stuff like that. But from a corporate business standpoint, they were underutilized. So he wasn't like saying anything false. He just maybe didn't put the proper spin on it. But I think to the average guest, not the person listening to this podcast or something, that only goes every couple of years or something, the parks in 2028, 2030, whatever, it's going to be a huge improvement for them over what was there before. Cause there's so much new stuff, newer technology with IP that is relevant to them. I think, sorry.
Yeah. I want about like Disney's has always built new state-of-the-art attractions for the last decade plus, right? Like that's not new. But it's the under things like the more additional entertainment, adding a Walt to Carousel of Progress. Like they don't need to add anything to Carousel of Progress, right? Like no one goes in there compared to marquee attractions, right? Like it's not drawing people away from Space Mountain. But like I have seen ever since Iger got back coming out of COVID in the 23 range, so the last, I guess, 3 years now at this point, small things being fixed, changed, updated, all these things that aren't right, we weren't expecting. And yeah, maybe it's pent up maintenance, pent up things that they wanted to do for like the 50th and stuff like that. And they were just kind of thrown over the next couple of years afterwards. But do you think that we'll get a continuation of those kind of trends of like small tweaks to the park, small changes that we were like, oh, we weren't expecting them to do this, like the test track, right? That just got dropped out of nowhere like a year ago, right? Like, do you see that trend? Do you trust them to continue that, improving the parks?
I think so. I mean, I think so. We'll have to obviously see because it's mixing, it's
Right.
doing those small things while there's still big things going on. But they're always touching the Haunted Mansion and stuff. We did just see. I did put it in the news because it was Disneyland, but they just announced they're going to be adding Rapunzel's Tower to the Storybook Canal boat ride, which is like an old classic ride. It certainly doesn't need an addition or an update, and they're doing that, and they're going to have different music during the day and the night and stuff like that. So I think they'll always look for that. I mean, not to harp and go back to Walt and stuff like that, but he always looked for opportunities to plus attractions, and I think they'll continue to do that. Will it be to all the attractions we want them to do? It seems like they haven't touched Imagination and things like that. But
that's what people point out to, right? It's like
Yeah.
Stitch and all those different places.
But I think there'll be small things that maybe somebody that has a passion for it and suggests it and can get a little bit of a budget and said, hey, this is something we can get a little of attention for, won't cost a lot and whatever, and get approval for it. So I think we definitely will. It might not be as often as we like. It might not be to the things we want, but I think there will be plussing that comes every now and then.
All right, I need to get you on the record right now for prediction for D23 2028. All right, Phil, you ready?
Okay.
There's a lot of empty spaces in Epcot, right? Imagination needs a redo. You've got the whatchamacallit pavilion, then the used
Wonders
to
of
be
Life.
going to be the life play pavilion. I was going to say whatever you want to consider it. Mission Space defunct. Do you see an announcement at Epcot where all of a sudden they're like, all these things are being changed, or at least 80% of the things I just listed changed, like as a big new Epcot, redo type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it
Or
would
will
make
they
sense.
trickle out?
I think it'll be more a trickle. I think Imagination is going to be the next one, unless they decide during this small closure for Spaceship Earth that it needs to go first. I think those are the next two on the docket to get updated, and I think it's going to be one or the other is going to be announced by 2028. But I don't know if they're going to do that and the Play Pavilion and Mission Space and stuff like that. I think it's going to be more of a trickle thing, like they did Test Track. Now they'll do Spaceship Earth, and then they'll do Imagination, and I don't know if eventually maybe get to Wonders of Life. I don't know. I think it's going to be more of like an every 2 years they do one of them or something like that.
Okay. Then second part of my getting you on the record here, by 2032, so 6-ish years from now, right? For the next 5 to 6 years, will all those things we just mentioned, Spaceship Earth, Mission Space, Imagination, the defunct Play Pavilion, will those have been... Will changes have been announced or completed on all those things? Not just renovations, but like Journey was it 4.0 and Spaceship Earth completely refurbished and changed and stuff like that. Will those be under construction or announced to be so by 6 years from now?
I think 3 of the 4 will be.
Okay, let's put that. Let somebody write that down for us.
I think it'll be Spaceship Earth, Imagination, and then one of the other 2.
I agree with that. I think that's Mission Space probably won't because there's a restaurant attached to it. It might be difficult to do.
And like, while it's not super popular, it's still kind of a thrill ride that balances other things out. It has the science, like it just doesn't. Of those 2, that one and Wonders of Life, I think there's a bigger
I agree.
A bigger benefit of the park to doing something to Wonders of Life.
Okay. Let's move on. Oh, the last construction of it. There was permits filed for the Harambe Market where they're going to start construction very soon. I'm not sure why they need construction. Maybe they need some more deep fryers or something.
That's what somebody said, is that they have to upgrade or update the kitchens to handle like deep, like frying more things and stuff like that.
Is that actually somebody actually said that? Okay,
yeah, just to I guess accommodate the American palate and stuff like that. But we'll see. I mean, there was also a lot of chatter about like what the menu there is going to look like. Hopefully, it isn't just plain cheeseburgers. It is something with a little bit of
I'm sure it will be.
African twist and stuff like that. And then hopefully they have a lot of authentic food in the new restaurant coming to the Encanto area and stuff like that.
So just a reminder of our social media accounts: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, our YouTube channel, and Blue Sky, all at the DBC Pod. And also make sure you join our Discord server to join the conversation that we're having every single day. And I've been so busy the last week and a half that I have not been on there as much as I would like. So I end up coming in and just stirring up the rat's nest that was settled from like the last day's conversation. So I apologize for that. Speaking of a conversation that was going on in Discord, the conversation of should Disney eliminate tipping at Walt Disney World. So how did this come up, Phil? What's
so there was an article written on WDW Info. It was written by Blair Whitman, who I think is a contributing author, around the idea of making Walt Disney World a gratuity-free zone. And the idea isn't necessarily to debate whether people should be tipping or not, but that the idea that Disney has the power of like all these people are here in kind of like a bubble, that they could say, okay, in here, this is more of a premium, all-inclusive resort experience. You don't have to tip here. So when you're paying $500, $600, $700 for a hotel room, you're not expected to leave gratuity for the housekeeping staff. When you go to these restaurants, yes, the pricing is higher and that sort of thing, but once you're done, you can just get up. You pay your bill for what you did, but you're not expected to tip and stuff like that, so that the cast members are paid appropriately without needing the tips to kind of subside, to earn a living and that sort of thing. And I thought it was an interesting concept, especially with the table service, combined with how it feels like the table services are easier to get. They're not as filled. Thinking about the dining plan, I know when we did the dining plan when it first launched, gratuity was included with it, and how it really did make it seem like you pay the money up front, and then when you eat, you just get up. You don't have to also think about, okay, I know it's covered, but this item is more expensive, so I'm gonna have to leave more of a tip and blah blah blah. Like, you don't have to do any of that mental math. It just feels like a little bit more of a vacation feel, like an all-inclusive place. So I thought it was an interesting concept. We had the back and forth on Discord. Some people, it's hard to talk about this without getting into the whole
tipping debate
culture.
always comes up. Yes.
Yeah. Like, should you be tipping or not? I think it would also have the added benefit of people that are coming from international, originally from international areas that don't have the same tipping culture in the U.S. So they don't have to worry about, I don't know what I'm supposed to tip, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you don't have to worry about it. So I think it would be interesting. Obviously, the downside is now they'd have to bake that into the price of everything. So now everything would look that much more expensive.
Everything's going to be 18 to 20% more expensive.
Exactly. But is that more appealing to people to say, especially with the dining plan and stuff like that? Like, I've paid for this ahead of time, where it's all baked in, that's it, versus always having to have mentally tipping out of. So what were you, I don't know, you said you kind of stayed out of it, but I don't know if you saw the article or just the topic or whatever. What were your
I just saw the topic. I didn't see the article. I don't like clicking on tipping debates. It's because it to me, it breaks down to like, why should I have to pay for somebody else's, thing? I'm like, well, if you don't want to do that, everything becomes more expensive. And if it just becomes like you're going to make $20 an hour or whatever the number is anyway, service goes down. Like, I truly believe if you're not going to tip somebody, or they're not working for tips in a service oriented position, the service is going to go down. Not like they're going to be like spitting in your food and just dropping a plate in front of you, but like they're not going to be actively going above and beyond, right? Like, I know if I was a waiter and a bartender for many years, I always went above and beyond just to earn that extra 1%, 2% to make sure my tip went from maybe an 18% tip to a 22% tip. And over long term, it's a lot more money if you more and more tables every single day. There's going to be plenty of people that go above and beyond anyway. That's their personality. But I would imagine working in a restaurant is very arduous. It's very exhausting. And if you don't have to worry about tip and being nice, the level of service will probably go down to just a lower median. It's still going to be good service. Don't get me wrong. Like, no one's going to be rude or anything. But I think overall, when you take in all the waiters and waitresses or servers and on property, all those cast members, the median will drop without tipping. That's my first take on all this. Two is, when we went to Cinderella's Roller Table, I totally forgot like tip was paid for already for whatever. It was very awkward just getting up from the table. Right? Like, I need to be trained to be able to like just pay the bill and walk away. Granted, tip was included in all of my things. I didn't have to think about tipping because we had a party of 6 or more. So that's 18% was always automatically added anyway. But like, how many times are people going to like have that awkward conversation with their waiter, like, or waitress? Like, am I supposed to tip, or talking to a manager? Like, I went to go to a manager, like, can I just leave now? I just want to make sure, our waitress was very lovely. She was awesome. And she did a fantastic job. Like, I want to make sure she's getting what's due. Like, I have no problem tipping. And it's like, nope, it's already included. You paid for it already, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And it just felt weird to me. So from an operational point of view, how many people per hour are going to start asking those questions that bogs down management and staff and everything else like that with just like, polite questions. But like, so would it be easier to tip without no tipping? Sure. But we tip everything all over the place in this country, so I think it would cause more problems. I also don't really want to see a lot of signs and things saying like no tipping or tipping is not expected. Like to me, like I don't need that in my face either, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. Ultimately, I don't really care which way they go, but like it's a fringe kind of question to me, right? Like I'm not heavily invested in this debate.
It definitely would take some time for it to kind of permeate down and have the behavior adjusted and stuff like that. Because I think in an ideal world, it would be, yes, they're paid enough to provide adequate service. And if they go above and beyond, you can tip a little bit extra, but they're not relying on your tips to like get up to minimum wage and stuff like that. So I think that would be the ideal scenario. But to your point, like everyone's used to that. And then would you have the issue where somebody doesn't realize it and they tip the 20% and now they've like double tipped and now they're upset about that. And like,
yes, exactly.
So I think there could be it would take some time for that behavior to work its way down. I think the point of this article was saying Disney, if that could happen anywhere, Disney is kind of the place where that could happen because it's a little insulated versus trying to make that change happen everywhere all at once or whatever. But I don't know. Especially in light of how table service is kind of light and like, would this make more people interested in using the dining plan if they knew they didn't have to tip? But maybe it would have the negative effect, and now people are going even less because they're looking online at the menus and be like, wait, what? Like 20% more than I thought it was. And stuff like that.
This is not going to make people eat more often, right? People aren't thinking about tips when they think about like what they're going to eat and everything else when they're planning, right? Like when they're buying the dining plan. I don't think that's I'm not going to say no one would do it. Obviously, right? Somebody could do that, but the vast majority of people are not be like, well, now that I don't have to tip, I'm definitely getting the dining plan. No, the motivation for the dining plan is the cost, what it comes down to, right? Like that's the end decider of it. And then another thing I was thinking about, so like, okay, we eliminate tipping, but you know, there is that expectation for like maybe a small tip for like going above and beyond type of thing, because they do that in Europe too. Like if you don't tip anybody, but like if somebody does an exceptional job, you leave at least in some countries, there's a little bit more like, hey, you did like the most amazing thing ever. Here's like an extra whatever. So are servers going to start expecting like, hey, you need to give me more? Like, so then like you want to give money to somebody like, hey, you went above and beyond. You got like a rose and a piece of cake. It was my mother's birthday and you did a whole awesome thing and you helped get a character to come over and do something special at a character dining, experience. I want to give you a little bit extra to show my appreciation. Is that $5? Is that $10? Is it the percentage? Like now all of a sudden, like if you don't know that, you're going to start feeling awkward, and it's just like it's more anguish for that person right now. It's just, to me, it's just like tipping's never going to change in this country. Let's just keep it the same, because ultimately it's going to come. People are. I guarantee you. I didn't read the article, but did they start off like, this is not a tipping debate thing? This is just how to make things easier. This is a person that doesn't like tipping because they don't like the social pressure of giving people money, or they think 20% is too much and it should be 10%. Like it's one of those things. I'm in trouble. Somebody's going to yell at me for that.
It was more about just saying this is a premium destination, and that it kind of feels like another example of nickel and diming when you're paying this high price and then expected to pay above that to help.
But that's everywhere though.
I know, but I think what they're saying is Disney, because it's more of a premium product and a higher cost and insulated, you
can go to some of the best hotels in this country, and you're still tipping bartenders, you're still tipping bell service, you're still tipping valets, you're still tipping servers and bartenders at the. To me, that doesn't make sense. Just because it's premium doesn't mean you just don't tip anymore. All-inclusive resorts that are the best in the world still have tipping. Cruise lines still have tipping. Like it's part of everywhere. Like I don't know. To me, it's just like, you're not changing anything just because it's more expensive. It's not like, when you go to dining, like I tell people, like you still have to tip. Like it's going to be a $300 meal. You're still expected to drop $50-$60 on a $300 meal, if not a little bit more, right? But convention is 18 or 20%. I think we've been probably talking about this way too long. But like again, Phil, I told you at the top of the show, I get heated on these conversations. So not heated, but like I get animated because I relied on tipping to get me through college. So anyway, one thing I wanted to point out, so they just recently announced all the discounts for like the first quarter of next year, first 4 or 5 months.
I think it's through like into April.
So first 4 months. And you make these big announcements. It's all over Twitter, whatever, and into the forums and everybody else. Oh, the discounts are out now. You can book your trip. And I'm like, this always happens. Like, I've been thinking about this for a long time, right? Like, it's just like Disney always discounts their hotels 20 to 30% depending on where you want to go. And I expect that only people getting excited putting it out there are travel agents trying to hype people up to book their trips. But to me, it's like Kohl's. Like, if you don't know what Kohl's is, you don't have Kohl's near you. It's everything that lists like regular price, and then every day is a sale at Kohl's where you're saving X amount of dollars, a decent amount of dollars from their markdown price. But that's the discount price is always the normal price, right? That's the price that you expect to pay. Do we care anymore about discounts, Phil? Does that get you hyped to do anything? It used to hype me up when free dining was announced. That was always like a thing that people rushed out to get because it wasn't a sure thing. But these hotel room rack rate discounts aren't like getting anybody excited.
No, it definitely doesn't get me excited. I always like pay attention just to see like, well, how does this differ from the year before and that sort of thing. And it seems like it's pretty similar. Some things are maybe tweaked a little bit. It seems like maybe some of the value, although I saw some people were checking price and it seemed like the starting price of some of the values has gone up. Yep. So now the discounts are a little bit bigger, but you're just getting back to the same point you were before. Yeah. So maybe it's trying to make it seem more appealing to the people that are staying at the value side, like, ooh, a bigger discount than we got last year, but it's really getting you to the same spot you were last year. Just how they reword it. I know there's some package discounts where they say, well, if you book the room and tickets, you get $250 off or something. But I don't know. Everything works out kind of similar. So unless there's some new drastic thing that is a signal like, hey, this is way more than the previous years, then I don't really care. And just as for an example, and obviously a lot of people book earlier, and then if they use a travel agent, the travel agent will kind of rebook them to see if they can save them some money. Right. And Wheezy on our board, who's a travel agent, has a number of clients. He said he did it for a number of people, and on average, it was saving them about 10% the cost of their trip, which is not nothing.
No, it's good.
But it's kind of like, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you're going to go anyway, this is great. It's a little bit of savings, but it's not, none of them were enough to be like, if I wasn't planning a trip, now I will.
I mean, like, I remember there was one trip where we booked like 14 months out, right? Like, we booked basically after we got back from our last trip. And I went to go apply the discount, like, that was announced. And the discounted price was more expensive than the original rack rate when I booked.
Right, because the rack rate had gone up before. Yeah, so you always have to check the end result versus the discount.
Book early, book often, and it only costs you a $200 hold on your credit card. That's what I always say. So anyway, I just kind of want to put it out there. I saw all the announcements go by, but like none of the normal like hype about people planning vacations around them. I'm like, is it everybody else kind of quote unquote catching up to this? Because there's still people in the forums that are like, you know, oh, Disney is, you know, putting out more discounts. They're getting desperate. I'm like, these are the same discounts that you putting out for the last decade. Like, nothing's new here. So, you know, to me, it always surprises me when there's hype around discounts. I'm like, these are always the same discounts every year.
It's always fun seeing those issues where it's Disney's getting crazy. They're more expensive than ever, but they're also having bigger discounts. So they're desperate and cheaper than it. Like how they're able to do that at the same time. It's always impressive.
The only difference is how early they put out the discounts, how far off they put the discounts for the time, and the inventory of discounted rooms. Like before, back in 2019, they had the same discounts, but it was like random number. 10% of the rooms that were available.
And it was now like the preferred rooms only or something like that. Yeah.
In 2024, it was 25% of the rooms, like random numbers, right? I don't know anything about this, but like it was just more, right?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to go and have our underrated game. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now, and I really like it. It's very fun. Seems to get people talking also. So this week was you picked over and underrated Disney park souvenirs. And instantly, I remembered. I think we've done this before in the past, but not over or underrated. But like, there was some game where we listed out souvenirs.
I was trying to think of all the different things that we've done before, and I wasn't sure if we'd done this because I was like, attractions. No, we did that. Like resorts. No, we did that. I was like, I don't know if we did souvenirs. Yeah. So if we had done something about souvenirs, I think it was a while ago. So I thought.
I mean, we have been doing this show for 5 years. There's only so much that we can over and underrate.
Yeah.
So I think let's do this. Last week we took turns with the overs and then took turns doing the unders. I think that worked out pretty well. So you want to do that again?
Sure. Yeah, I only had a couple overrated ones, but I can start if you want.
Yeah, so funny thing is you started putting down all of your things and like I didn't see what you put down, so I started typing in and I basically had the same exact list. So I had to really think about some different ones here. So go ahead, go with your overrated first one.
Yeah. So my first overrated one is I put pins. I know this might be a little hot because I know there's a lot of big pin collectors and stuff out of there, but I think it's just look, if you go down and you want a pin for the resort you stay at, that's fine. But I think it's gotten so big and so overblown. And when you see some of these pins that the list price is like $60 for a pin and it weighs 6 pounds and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
I think it's like we've kind of lost the forest from the trees a little bit in this one. So yeah, so to me, overrated how crazy sometimes people go and it's not getting one pin, it's like they get 17 pins or something like that. And it's like maybe it's just one of those things I don't get or whatever. But for me, the how big and expansive the pins world has gotten is overrated. And then for my next overrated one, oh, you're gonna go? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put a comment here. I totally agree with the whole pins thing. Like, I don't understand why there's walls and walls and walls of pins. The pins are really cool looking. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love the idea of pins. I hate the function of pins because you can't use them anywhere because they fall off super easily from everything else because it's just a rubber backing that you stick the pin into, right? Like walking around the parks or anything else, the pins are going to fall off unless you have that lanyard and you figure out different ways to hold them on the place, stuff like that. And to me, the only way to display pins at home is you got to get this big board. You got to stick the pins in. There's a lot of people that do that. If you enjoy doing that, that's fine. But just know that your hobby is overrated, at least in this show's opinion. In similar vein, the other my first overrated Disney Park souvenir is popcorn buckets. As you have at least 2 or 3 of them I could see the screen right now.
A couple others the other way.
Yeah. I think they're completely overrated. They're fun, I get it, but I'm like, I don't understand the craze for them. There are some really cool ones, don't get me wrong, but I think like waiting in line and collecting them to me is overrated. But again, people collect weird things. There's no judgment in this. I just think it gets too much hype in my opinion. But like, if you get hyped on it, fine, that's cool. Like,
I have a bunch of them, and I think they're overrated. And not even just at Disney. If you see some of the ones that are coming to the movie theaters now for Tron and stuff like that, they're like crazy. I think it's another one that it's gotten a little bit too big and stuff like that. I agree. My next overrated item is basically anything that comes in blind bags. They're all over the parks and everything, and it's like people go and like, oh, there's 8 different ones. I'm going to get 20 of these so that I get all 8 of them and complete my collection and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it kind of grinds my gears that people are buying all these things and they're getting duplicates and they're not getting everything they want. And I don't know, there's so many of them, and whether they're like little figures or cards or whatever. And so anything in blind bags, I know it's kind of like in video games with microtransactions and stuff like that. But anything where you don't know what you're getting, to me, is an overrated souvenir to get.
I mean, I agree. They're definitely overrated, but I think they're also kind of disgusting too, especially when you're in a very expensive place like Disney World. I understand they're kind of like trading cards and stuff like that, where you buy like a pack of cards you don't want to get. It's kind of fun seeing that. But like these, to me, these aren't like baseball cards, right? They're just like, it's a toy. Just sell the toy. Like, it's like a little thing. Just sell it and be done with it.
I'm just picturing some small kids like, oh, I want the Rapunzel one, and they buy 5 of them and they don't get the Rapunzel one, and they're upset or whatever. And
It's to me, it's kind of grimy to me. It's just like, if you're gonna sell them cheaper, so you can get a whole bunch of them for like $10 rather than like, what are they like each like $5.99?
I mean, it depends which thing you're getting, but a lot of them are like even closer to $10 each or something.
That's too much. It's predatory to me, in my opinion. I think so. I think Disney should get rid of them. I'm totally with you with their overrated. My next overrated Disney Park souvenir are the bubble wands. I can't stand these things. First, let me say this. When you see a little girl running around blowing bubbles out of these things, it's the most adorable thing in the world, and it's awesome. It's fun. And my kids love bubbles, running around, popping them, catching them, that sort of thing. I get that fun. They're overrated because of the cost and how easy they are to break, and then having to deal with like the soap and running out of them and all this other type of stuff. Completely overrated. Though there are some like really cool ones, and I'm not going to get. Don't get me wrong. I would love to buy these for my kids, but they're just too expensive. They're unwieldy, and like we get them like the second day of your week-long vacation. Now you got to carry this thing around you like the whole time, and unless you have a stroller, which I guess most people have these things in strollers, I think they're completely overrated as a souvenir because you're not bringing that back home, right? A souvenir is meant to remind you of your time at the park, at home, and to me that's like, I don't think that thing's making back through the airport. Like it's getting crunched somewhere in your luggage,
Yeah.
I would imagine. So that to me, it's an overrated souvenir, a properly rated, I guess, like park toy. I don't know if that's a term you want to use, like things that you use at the parks, but not to bring home with those.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could like rent them like for the day or
That'd be a
something
great
like
idea.
that.
Now, here's the thing: can we buy? Like Disney would never allow this because they shut these things down. But like, can we buy a collection of them and just stand out in the front gate, rent your bubble one, and like somehow we track it back?
Yeah,
and
like
get it-
people
I
do
don't
have
know.
the stroller
Strollers?
rentals and ECV
Yeah.
rentals. Yeah, like something like that, like
Hey,
bubble on rental.
I don't think that would be profitable because that would be crazy, but that's a good idea. I'm curious. Somebody's got to do that. See if you can make some money on it. And my last overrated Disney Park souvenir are the miniatures, right? So you can go into any of like the stores with the toys and stuff like that. It'll be like, 6 or 7 like little Moana figures or the Disney princess figures, or pick whatever theme. Like they have like 6 little figures. These are great, fantastic toys. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're overrated because there's so many of them now and they're so tiny. I don't like they were fun when they used to not have a lot of them. You get like a little toy set, whatever, for like a Christmas present. But buying them at the parks now, they're all over the place. They take up a lot of shelf space. I just don't like them as souvenirs. I like them more as like a birthday present or a Christmas present or something else like that you can give a kid. But like, I'm going to take these toys and bring them home I classify a souvenir as something that for a remembrance for your trip. And these little figures to me don't really remind you of the trip. You go to a toy chest somewhere and you kind of drag them out when you play with them, but you're not going to remember, oh, I got this, Rapunzel in 2023 in my trip when there. Like it goes in the play bin and you probably get rid of them when you out age them and stuff like that, and you get lost.
No, I think that's a good call. I think anything that you could just get at a toy store or whatever at home, like it's not. I mean, unless it's some specific thing that's only available there or something like from your resort. But yeah, I think anything that you could just get at the toy store doesn't make sense.
That's a very good point. Like if they had like for some silly reason, like I would actually collect these if they had them. But if they had miniatures of like the resort, like a little I don't know, a 7x7 type of thing or a 7x4 type of thing that shows the resort you stayed at as like a little miniature like building, I collect those and put those in. I stayed at the Caribbean Beach Resort. Like to me, that's really cool. And just I'm a big giant nerd that thinks that would be awesome. Like I'm thinking like I can get like a little monorail and kind of put it in there and have like have like a little Grand Floridian thing. Like a lot of people collect. Like Matt loves to go and get resort mugs wherever he goes. Right, he has a big giant collection of them. I want the actual building. Let me see the Polynesian in model form. I think that'd be pretty neat.
It sounds
coming
like
up with things.
Another business opportunity. We could 3D print them and stuff like that, or whatever.
And then get sued off our butts by the Disney lawyers, right? We always need to make new friends, right? All right, so let's get to our underrated Disney Park souvenir. So, Phil, what is your first underrated Disney Park souvenir?
Yeah, my first underrated Disney Park souvenir is Magic Bands. Although I think this was a little bit more back when it was just Magic Bands, not Magic Band Pluses. Mm-hmm. But we used to always get them. I love any souvenir that's also functional. So the idea is that you have this that commemorates something new that you did, something new that opened. It was great when they had the special ones that do like special effects when you tap in and stuff like that. I just thought it was something that you remember that trip. If you pre-ordered them, you can get like your name in there. Usually I put like filled 95 or, whatever the year was that I went,
That's a good idea,
stuff like that. So you kind of remember that when you see it afterwards and stuff like that. So I think those are good because they're kind of collectibles. You can keep them. You look at them every time you have your next trip and you're deciding which ones to bring and stuff like that. And they're also functional while you're there. So I think it's a good underrated souvenir.
See, I had a problem with this one because I don't think they're underrated. I think they're properly rated. Like, I think I don't think anybody's sleeping on Magic Bands. But the idea of having when you used to be able to get your name printed on them with like, I never put the year on them. I still have old ones. I'm like, I really wish I knew you 10 years ago when I was doing that. That would have been great. I think the problem with Magic Bands now is a lot of people use their phone for a lot of that stuff. And they're not doing the version 2s anymore. So now everything's Magic Band Plus.
Yeah.
I think Disney does a very poor job promoting Magic Band Pluses. There's the selection you get off the Disney store online is very low. what you get as a pre-purchase. We talked about this over the summer, right? Like I
Yeah.
couldn't find the proper ones that I wanted. And there's a bunch when you get there on property, but they're all the same. There's not very much not what I said the same, like there's the same ones that are at Epcot that are at the Magic Kingdom that are everywhere else. And you can never find the ones that you kind of want. They're all kind of samey. So I don't know if they're really investing in that technology that much anymore. So I really wish they would put more emphasis on them because I love the Magic Bands. It's the only time I wear something around my wrist. I'm not a watch wearer, so I kind of like that. My first underrated one is I have this in parentheses because I thought this was going to be my next best thing, and I just can't do it because it doesn't exist. I think Disney should have patches. When we went down, I bought a patch in Galaxy's Edge. I found one. I'm like, this is really cool. I'm going to fill up my backpack with like patches from each trip. And then they don't sell patches anywhere else on property. Like literally, you cannot buy a patch. Like I'm thinking, like I'm going to be like a Boy Scout with all my patches, like on my thing over the years. No, I can't do that. I would have to go on like Etsy or something else like that and buy them. Like that doesn't count. I don't want somebody else's made patch. I want one from Disney. So they should sell patches. They gotta be cheaper to make than pins, but maybe not. I don't know. My first real underrated Disney Park souvenir is one that I collect every time I go. I collect park maps. I love park maps. If I was a local, every time they change a park map, I would take it, catalog it, and save it. But now this day and age, everything is digitally scanned. So if you ever want one, you can probably find one somewhere. But I think park maps are a great Disney park souvenir. Like I have a couple that I've framed and I still have like behind me down here on the floor. I haven't hung up yet because I'm behind on all my renovations in my office. However, I have one for like the 50th where I have each park with the 50th symbol on it. I've had one for the Epcot Food and Wine Festival when we did the Very Merry Christmas Party in 2023. So I have that whole set up with everything it looks really nice. So I love collecting park maps, and it just kind of reminds me of the time and place that I want. So I really like those. Go ahead, sorry.
Yep. So my next underrated park souvenir is any sort of glassware. So I know we talked about it with Matt with his coffee mugs and stuff like that. I know that's a popular one too. But I think beyond coffee mugs, there's obviously if you go to Trader Sam's or something, there's the tiki mugs or at Jock Lindsay's and stuff like that. But there's also just a lot of different glassware at the resorts. There's tumblers and things like that. So again, it gets back to like anything that's actually usable and doesn't just sit on a shelf. There's a lot of cool ones because usually sometimes they'll explicitly have the year on them, but they'll also just sometimes have like all the different attractions that are big that year. So it's like when you look back and be like, hey, half those attractions are gone after like 10, 15 years or something. Or like, oh, this is like when Tron was new. So Tron's all over everything or something like that. So I think there's a lot of things like that. You can obviously also get them from the resort, whether it's a coffee mug or a Stein or something like that.
Yep.
So just anything like a drinkware, I guess is what I should put, that has to do with relates to the trip you're doing, whether it's new attractions or the resort, that you can then use when you're home.
See, I agree with you that they're underrated. I don't like these because my family doesn't really use glassware too much because everybody has their own water bottle now this day and age. So like glassware is not really used, and they take up cabinet space. But I think it's a good idea. Like if you're like a coffee drinker and you bring out the coffee mug for the week, right? You're just like, this is one for this trip, whatever. I think that's cool. My family actually from our last vacation, we're using the refillable mugs. Like my kids use these like all the time now. Like there's constantly putting them in rotation when they have like a seltzer water or something else like that. That's not their water bottle. They're using them quite a bit. So I think that's definitely underrated. I don't think enough people like think about that for sure. My next one is kind of similar to the map. So my next underrated Disney Park souvenir is things like brochure. I'm going to lump these all together, like brochures, event booklets, the Explorer booklet that you get at Animal Kingdom, kind of the Young Explorers, the signature books, signature cards, like all these little paper things I think are fantastic souvenirs. They're like, to me, they fit perfectly. If you're a scrapbooker, I'm not, but like if you are a scrapbooker, this would be a perfect like thing to put in your scrapbook and kind of take pictures and put them around it type of thing. Like I love those sorts of things. And if there's a memorable moment, I'll frame it and I'll put it up on the wall because that kind of brings back some memories. So I like all those little like kind of paper things and stuff like that. That's it.
Those are cool too. And also add on into that list the transportation cards. If you ever get them, you can get them from like the monorail captains and stuff like that. Another thing that's kind of like easy to put in a scrapbook or use as a bookmark or something like that you get back and stuff. So
I mean, I thought before, Phil, of going on eBay and getting like the old school like fast pass tickets when they were printed and like put them on my wall, because I love like little pieces. Like you never know, like 30 years from now, they might not have any park maps anymore because it's all digital. Everybody's got like glasses that have a park map on them. What's the point of printing them anymore? Or like all these little things that are like, oh yeah, we get them all the time. Or the signature books, they don't matter. Or like these pieces of paper that they hand out at the park, like Explorer booklet that you could get for free. Like 20 years from now, that might not ever be printed. And we may be like looking back 20, 30 years ago. Remember when they had all this stuff printed out for the park? It was like all this tangible stuff. Now it's like all holographic and printed. I don't know what's in 20 years. But like to me, that's some really cool things that you can kind of tuck away and you'd be like, you can remember yesteryear how they did things. Because the Fast Pass tickets, like no one was thinking like they'd be all digital and we'd be all on phones when that was going on like 20 years ago, right? So I always think that's kind of cool.
Yep. And my last underrated one is similar to that. I put coasters that we get at some of the lounges and bars and stuff like that. We picked up a number of them from Geo82 this last trip. We have a bunch that we use regularly from Oga's and stuff like that. So
I've got them right up that bookcase that you're probably not gonna be able to see because I cut it off in my camera for YouTube.
But I think those are a great. Obviously, it's another free one, which is always good too. But they're definitely something that you can remember from the trip, and it kind of goes along with my glassware type thing and that sort of thing, where you can use it on a regular basis. But they're kind of unique and yeah, so that was my last one that I put as underrated. I know a lot of people don't necessarily think of them, or they just use them and they don't think about taking them with them.
I always take, like, I had coasters on my list and I deleted it because you already put it on there, right? Like I didn't notice you put coasters after reading like coffee mugs. I was like, coasters is a great one too, because I'm rattling off all the things I collect when I'm at the parks and like books, and coasters. Oh, Phil already talked about it. So I don't have that's like a new thing. Like we went. My sister sent me coasters from from Oga's, I think just shortly after it opened in Florida, and Disneyland, because she lived out in Anaheim at the time, and she sent them to me as like here's some cool stuff, right? And when we went, I started collecting them, so I have a whole bunch, and whenever we go to, now that they have lounges are going to be a thing, like this is something I'm going to start collecting. Like next time I go to Trader Sam's, I'm going to get one of those. Beacon Barrel, Geo82, all these different ones. Like I'm going to, like, this is going to be my thing. So Phil, that means I just have to book more trips and do some more adult beverages. Clearly, like unfortunately, yeah, it's like just has to be done. So those were all of our underrated souvenirs. If you're in Discord, put your under and overrated souvenirs. But we have another DBC engagement we're going to talk about too, also. But anyway, we're not limited to just one. So talk about what your over underrated souvenirs. Here's where does this? I have two here that I want your opinion on, Phil, and where you would place these. Because the number one souvenir I would imagine for most people are the Disney ears as a souvenir, right? Like, are those overrated? Are those underrated? Are those properly rated? Or like, did you even think about them when this topic came up?
So if I had to put them in a category, I'd put them in overrated, just because, again, they've gotten so big and there's so many different types. And I feel like Disney comes out with this new line that's like this color, and it's just like a colored ear. It's like nothing. Sure. And now they're like $50 each or whatever. So I'd say those types of ears are definitely overrated. I still say either underrated or properly rated, or when you get like the ear hat for your little kid and you get the name embroidered on it and stuff like that. I think that set as a souvenir and a memento is properly rated. But kind of the big fancy ones that have kind of gotten a little out of control, especially in price, are a little overrated.
Yeah, you should see my wife's closet. We've got, I don't know, like a dozen and a half ears now, because every time we go, we end up buying like 2 or 3 more, and it's just like all the women in my family, like they just every day they figure out what ears that they're going to wear, and now we have drawers full of them. Like we literally are going to need a suitcase just for our ears when we go down next time, because there's so many of them. I want to give a shout out to my wife, that she doesn't listen to this show, so I can do this, right? So, and this completely surprised me, Phil, is, she needed to take a personal day this week. She was a little under the weather. She just needed some like R&R time away from work, and she took a day, and she just wanted to there were no kids at home. It's a nice relaxing day on the couch. I was working in my office. She had peace and quiet. And normally my wife would read her book or do something, whatever. Do you know what she watched for like 6 hours straight as she was kind of dozing and kind of recuperating from a cold? She was watching Disney park streams, not like not like episodes of like Mammoth Club or whatever, but like literally like Resort TV 1 was on TV for like 5 hours, and she just watched people walk through the park.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is coming from a woman that I've had to like grab and drag into Disney World fandom, just like whatever. But now she's like, oh, I want to watch all this stuff. It's soothing. Like when I want to like just relax and like, feel good and get ready for bed and whatever, she's putting on Disney music. She's watching streams on her phone. I'm like, girl, you're getting dangerous, because you know what's next? It's just annual passes at that point, right? We got to go down like 6 times a year now just so you can get your moment of zen. So shout out to my wife. I thought that was really cool, because I was always the big Disney nerd in the whole family, and now she's developing her own nerd.
No, it's funny. I think we've created some monsters. I actually had a similar moment. My wife went out with a bunch of her girlfriends, and they were doing like, I think they went out to eat, and then they went to like a pottery craft place to do something, and they were making candles. And she brings hers home, and completely like unprompted or whatever, her candle has a Mickey head in it, and that sort of thing. So it's like, I think we've created some monsters. So.
Yes, yeah, I think it's funny watching my my wife and my kids like just be, well, not my kids because they've just been trained on Disney for like the last decade and a half, but like my permeating the thoughts and processes of my wife is hilarious. All right, so we have a long list of DVC engagement of the week under an overrated Disney park strategies from the community. Phil, do you want to go over these?
Yep.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, let's get through them kind of quickly. Some of them were kind of similar and stuff. I think some were interesting that there was some back and forth on different views of some topics. But so for Mama 6, our underrated park strategy is doing an ADR for lunch instead of dinner. Let you have more of a leisurely meal in the air conditioning at the busiest hours of the park. And I think TL Madden commented either late lunch or like an early dinner. So do like 3-4 o'clock versus kind of like towards the end of the day. She put her overrated park strategy though is riding all the headliners first thing in the day. It seems like all the e-tickets get like the longest lines right thing because everybody's rope dropping them and that sort of thing. And if you actually wait till later in the day, wait times can go down. So kind of the whole like zig when everyone else is zagging or zagging when they're zigging and that sort of thing. So
there's one little thing that it's not really talked about. This is a underrated strategy to go against this overrated strategy, right? So going for the headliners, at least at the Magic Kingdom, right? Like there's not much else you can do other than headliners, right? Like Peter Pan and Mine Train get backed up pretty good, but it doesn't make a difference. However, if you're not at the front of that line going for the headliner, you're gonna end up waiting. However, if you don't do the headliner, let's say you get into Fantasyland early, right? Go grab something to eat and a coffee. Wait, say 20 minutes out of the 30 minutes, and just kind of enjoy the empty park time and the quiet, and then go on the line for Mine Train at the very end, because then the whole rush has gone through the ride and they're circulating out, and the rest of the offsite guests are just still not in yet, and you can probably if you're in the back of the rope drop line, your wait's going to be longer than if you hopped online 20 minutes after early morning has started. I've seen this happen a couple times. There's not scientific data based off of this, but it always seems that line is wrapped all the way around when you first start. But by the time you kind of rope drop that, get on Peter Pan, and like the park is officially open, you get back to Mine Train, the line is now kind of towards like the start of the queue type of thing. So keep an eye out on that, I think.
Yeah. So Lumpy had his underrated is rope dropping with a planned afternoon break. So the idea is like go early, kind of crank out a whole bunch of things, and then take an afternoon break. I think we've talked about similar ideas with that in the past.
My go-to is get out by 11:30.
Yeah, I think some people would go a little longer, but yeah, you're kind of get out even
Fair
earlier. For Lumpy, his overrated is lightning lanes. So rather than using lightning lanes, he promotes doing like a split stay, so you can like take advantage of different things and having to strategies for using the morning rope drop and that sort of thing. And then he also put really underrated is single rider lines.
It's hugely underrated.
Yeah, there's like, I think everyone knows it like for Expedition Everest maybe, but not for everything else. I talked about it in my last trip report how we were on Test Track 3. I mean, it's a brand new ride, and we single rider got on in literally 4 minutes. So I think it's people don't know about it, or just I think they're just on their family vacation and they're like, well, I want to be with my family. Of course, I'm not going to do single rider line, but like, especially if it's something you've done or done before or something like that, you're generally not going to be like a half hour apart from each other and that sort of thing. So yeah,
and you're not talking to your family and friends when you're on the ride anyway. So
exactly,
unless you really want that ride photo,
Right.
I don't think one of the things I find interesting is as Lightning Lane permeates through the zeitgeist now, and we've had a couple years now for paid Lightning Lanes, whether it's Genie Plus or now MultiPass. I've seen in a couple different places, whether it's on Blue Sky, Twitter, or message boards somewhere, where people are like, you know what, I don't mind staying in queues anymore. I'm rediscovering waiting in line and calming down and not being on my phone and not rushing anywhere. And I actually enjoy staying in line for 30, 40 minutes waiting for the attraction. So there's like some kind of like inverse like psychology going on that people are doing because they're justifying not paying for Lightning Lanes, which I completely agree with. I don't think you need Lightning Lanes to enjoy the parks unless it's like your first time or once in a long time type of rides where you want to get everything done. If you're a guest who goes down every couple of years, once a year, whatever, I don't think Lightning Lanes are needed. So I'm with him on this one.
Yep. Doxy also said underrated is single rider lines, and overrated was using crowd predictors to decide which parks to do when.
That's huge.
I think, I think that's kind of gotten out there that there's not really a use to them anymore because things aren't predictable anymore. I definitely used to use them all the time when I was lining up which park am I going to which day and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think if you're still tied to that, I think just don't worry about it because it's going to be wrong.
The only thing is don't go to Epcot on a Saturday during Food and Wine, essentially. Yeah. That's where all the locals are going out. So just use that kind of common sense, not like crap.
Yeah, what is it? Mondays, don't go to Magic Kingdom on Mondays because that's where everyone starts their trip. And like there's a couple kind of golden rules like that, but don't go nuts with the crowd predictors. Wheezy said underrated is also single rider lines and also mobile ordering. Not a lot of people, not everyone takes advantage.
It's amazing how many people don't use this.
Yeah.
To me, it's like I remember I was in Docky Bay 7. I was waiting outside. You're not allowed to go in until you mobile order or whatever, or go in line. I mobile ordered. I walked past like 30 people to go to the front of the line and pick up my food. It was like silly.
Yeah. Obviously, you have to be a little careful with that. With some places, you have to order earlier and stuff like that. But like, yeah, just be aware of it and use it. He said overrated is taking a midday break, and it maybe just be how they always toured, but they would just like maybe take a break for park hopping or something like that if they needed to get out of the heat, but they would just go all day. They wouldn't take a midday break because you're losing so much time going back to the
young people. I swear.
I know.
that will change, sir, once your knees get a little bit more bent and you have 3 kids you're dragging behind. Like again, I think I said this last week. Midday breaks for like going to take a nap, overrated. Don't do them. It's a waste of time. But I'm with Mom of 6. Like your midday break could be a meal. It could be like going to another park. Like those are midday breaks. Midday breaks doesn't mean you go back to your room, you sit around, watch like The Price is Right as it's being like coming off the air at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's like go do something else that you're not just running around. To me, that's what a midday break is.
And he also said an overrated is not rope dropping because I think that came up on our last time. How I'm not forcing the kids to get up so we can rope drop. If we get there, we get there. If we don't, but it's like, I'm not going to force rope dropping. And he's like, but his point was everyone complains when Disney takes away perks. And now you're saying you don't use one of the perks they provide. And that's
you don't have to use the perk.
Yep. So I don't know. I think it's everything. It's always like have a plan, have a little bit of a strategy and that sort of thing. And my whole thing with the rope dropping was it's not rope drop or bust. You don't have to rope drop every single day. That was kind of my point. Not to say don't take advantage of it when it makes sense. But I think some people get so bent like you have to rope drop or else you're like your whole day's shot or something like that. I don't think you have to every single
I would say rope dropping is overrated when you want to try to do a lot of rides in one day. Like that's too stressful. Underrated rope dropping is getting into the park early and then having a relaxing breakfast or stroll through the park before there's the heat and the crowds and stuff like that. That's what we've done before too.
Yep. Brett 3 days also said underrated is rope dropping and a midday break. A Music Life for Me said overrated. He said he's learned it as time as a local and a cast member, but this was kind of what we were saying or talking about before is don't necessarily rope drop the most popular attraction. You could get like 3 or 4 smaller rides done in the same time with like no wait versus those rides each having a 20 to 30 minute wait. And then maybe, you have to wait on one big ride later, but it's kind of one long line. You can knock out 3 or 4 things in the time you would have only done one big one. And his underrated one is actually walking to the parks. Obviously, this depends on where you're staying and stuff like that. But he was saying even if you're at the TTC, you can walk all the way to Magic Kingdom from there. Or if you're at Epcot and you want to go to Hollywood Studios, you could walk the whole way. obviously not everyone can do that if you have mobility issues and stuff like that. But if
it's 118 degrees outside.
it's 118 degrees. It kind of depends on what time of day. But sometimes I think people maybe don't consider it as much as they could, and they're always like, "Oh, I'm sitting around waiting a half hour for this bus and stuff like that." It's like, well, in that time you could have walked somewhere. So yeah,
this is a very good one. Not that I've walked from park to park, but it's the reason why I love the Skyliner so much, because it's quiet. I always have to shush my kids when the announcement comes on, even though I've heard it a million times. I just love the Disney sounds, the announcements, and go from park to park and the kind of like the little spiel that they give. I love it. And it just makes me feel good. I love the background sounds. Like if I were staying at the Crescent Lake Resorts, I would definitely walk to Hollywood Studios and to Epcot and stuff like that. I would take advantage of that. I'm not a big fan of walking from the Magic Kingdom to the Contemporary, because it's just kind of like an annoying walk once you get past the security and you have to kind of walk across a bunch of streets into the bus stop for the Contemporary. I've never done the walk from the Polynesian to the Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom on that side of the lake there, the lagoon. I would love to do it once, but every time we've done it, it's been too hot to do like a 10, 15-minute walk. I love walking, but like it's just it's too much.
Yep, I agree. And then the last one is Herdomaniacs. Underrated is using the Voices of America as an air conditioning break. So I think things like we've talked before, that's another good one.
I love it.
And then he also talked about rope dropping. The newest attraction is underrated, is not rope dropping the newest attraction, and he would rather spend time in theory a less crowded park. So I think things like you were talking about, rather than rushing to something, just enjoy being in the park or the area of the park with less people, and kind of enjoy that as your rope drop benefit, and then hit up the ride before maybe the full park opens or something like that, versus just rushing it right into the throngs of people trying to get to Mine Train as quick as possible, that sort of thing.
No, I'm with him on that. Patience is good, but he also has the mind of a local, so I understand why people do it. So it's not like whatever, but it's definitely overrated. Just jamming yourself into the latest. I mean, we've talked about it 5 times in the last 5 minutes. So
yep.
I'm with you. All right, so you posted this. Everybody else posted this. So Dude Perfect posted a video of all 12 Disney parks around the world in less than 75 hours. So our engagement this week is, what Disney feat would you like to try to accomplish, other than all 4 parks in one day? Because obviously that's the easy one that we've all
everybody tries to do. Yeah.
So I kind of like this one. This is like what we did with the achievement. So this is some really cool. There's some really cool things that you could do with this. So what would you like to see as a Disney feat that you would like to really try to accomplish? It could be something that somebody else has did, and that you just really want to do that sort of thing. But I want to go back to the Dude Perfect video before we close this out, Phil. I was really stoked about like watching some people try to hit up all these parks and like just jet around the world. And the video itself was like 20 minutes, but there were like 3 other like challenges in the middle of the video. Like they had this video. It's meant for kids, because kids can't pay attention for more than like 2 minutes at a time. So it's like a 2-minute clip. They're in like Hong Kong. Then it was like some guy trying to slam dunk a ball jumping out of an airplane or something else like that. And then there was I just skipped through all these things just to get to the Disney parts. I was very, very disappointed that they didn't just have a nice 15 or 20-minute video showing them going into the parks and then coming out of the parks and into the it could have been like a nice little mini documentary. I mean, you spent, what was it, like 72 hours? They got everything done or something else?
Yeah, they said they worked with Disney. It'd be nice if Disney had kind of like their produced version of the video that they put up on Disney Plus or something like that, where it's like a half hour and it's all the background. And I mean, us nerds would love the strategy behind like you have the whiteboard with how are we going to do this and looking at fights and stuff like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if they'd ever do it. Obviously, the Dude Perfect videos are at a different speed and focus than what we're looking for.
I mean, like, even for their video, like, it was just like, here we are, let's take a picture in Hong Kong, then a picture of me at the airport, and a picture of me, like, sleeping on the plane, and a picture of me, or a video of me, like, at the next park, like, boom, 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 boom. It was like, if you just squinted, you probably wouldn't tell that they're at, like, all these different parks.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing. Like, they kind of, like, buzzed around Disney World with 4 different parks, and, boop, 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 and then like, one guy missed the plane. Spoilers or whatever. It was just, the whole thing was just ridiculous. Anyway, DVC engagement for this week is, what Disney feat would you like to try to accomplish? I think it's going to be very good. I have a couple in my mind that my son is like really like, I want to do this. We'll talk about that next week. Phil, anything else we need to add before we close this show out?
Nope, just another episode where we thought we might go short, and we did not go short.
Yes, this was one of our longer ones at almost an hour, 20 minutes. Hopefully there's no technical difficulties. We had some internet issues throughout the show. That being said, thanks for watching, listening, everybody. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe in the bottom, and we'll catch you next week. Take care, everyone.